our Army National Guard. Some of you may have been here, but last March I stood with Mayor Adams and promised to do everything we could in our power to make our subways safer. And to deliver on that promise, we sent in 750 members of the New York State National Guard, some are represented here today. And we also added 250 personnel from MTA, state police. Now, recall that some people questioned that approach. They thought it wasn't necessary, thought it was an overreach. But I was watching the numbers like a hawk. And when I saw a spike, an aberration from where we had been trending downward in crime, we saw a little spike upward. I knew that we needed to quickly stabilize and ensure that we didn't start ending up in the wrong direction once again. A lot of people didn't think it would make a difference. And I'm incredibly proud of these individuals in uniform here with me today to tell them, no, in fact, it made an extraordinary difference. Thanks to our 5-point plan to improve public safety, subway safety, subway crime is down 10% just since last March. And only 2 years since the year 1970 have we had fewer subway crimes than we had this past year. Let me repeat that so you can all tweet it out. Only 2 years since 1970 have we had fewer subway crimes than we did over this past year. It's clear to me, as I've heard from many people, that the presence of the National Guard has made not just a physical difference, but a psychological difference in how they feel about safety. When people see a person in uniform, NYPD, MTA Transit, even our National Guard, they feel more secure. Number one, it's a deterrent to those who would break our laws and threaten other riders. It's also gives people that sense of security that if they have a problem, there's someone there to help. With more people also riding the subway, and I want to tell you this, more people are riding the subway. These individuals are working hand in hand to keep them safe. You may or may not know this, but last Thursday we hit a single-day post-pandemic record of 4.5 million riders, the most any day since March 11th in 2020. Overall, ridership is up another 500 this year over last. We're very, very proud of that as well. Now, I will say this. You'll never hear me say mission accomplished. We'll never declare victory. Because if there's a single crime on this subway or anywhere, it is a crime too many. I want to keep staying focused. And this time of year, you can see all the people on the streets as I walked over with their suitcases and all excited about their arrival in New York City. Where else would you rather be than right here during the holiday season? Between November and December, we're expecting about 7.5 to 8 million more visitors coming to our city, using public transit, taking our buses and subways, as well as walking our streets. We welcome them. We're excited they're here. But I want them to know that when they come through that turnstile, that they will be safe. So today, at this particular time, with this higher volume of visitors and riders, I'm announcing an additional 250 more National Guard to be deployed to help support New York's Joint Task Force Empire Shield. This is the unit that protects our subways, our assets, as well as our streets. Members of the National Guard you see here are part of this organization. I'll be clear, this is not in response to a specific crime. We're not seeing a trend that's alarming, but it's about continuing a strategy that has proven its success and expanding it to protect even more people. That's what we do. Do whatever we can. There's one other initiative. We want to make sure there's eyes everywhere. The surveillance to make sure that people know that if something goes wrong, help will be there. Back in 2022, I directed the MTA to install cameras on every single subway car. I was told it would take some time in later 2025. Dano heard me when I said that's too long. I want it immediately because people are feeling so anxious. I am really proud that as of today, 99%, 100?
100.
Did you just add a couple more?
Literally
Okay.
today.
Okay, finished it off. We have 100% of subway cars are now equipped with cameras. That's extraordinary. And I want to thank everyone involved with that incredible effort. It sounds simple to do, but we have thousands of cars, thousands of cameras, but it was a major undertaking, but I wanted it done as part of our initiative, the cops, more cops on the beat, more cops in the subways, our cameras, as well as care. We announced this. That was our strategy a couple years ago. I just want anyone to know, if you're thinking of committing a crime on the subway, we're watching, and you will be caught. As I mentioned, so many people are coming here during the holidays. I'll be wandering the streets myself. Hope to get over to Bryant Park Winter Carnival and winter shopping area. I use a lot of shopping there. I'll be heading up to get my picture taken with my husband up at the tree. We love doing this. This is an incredible place. It's magical this time of year. But it all starts with the fundamental obligation to ensure that people who come here or those who live here every single day feel safe. And I'll never stop being grateful to the men and women of the National Guard, the State Police, MTA Police, and the NYPD for putting on a uniform, standing with us today and into the future. We're reinforcing the numbers to have that sense of security that every New Yorker and visitor deserves to have. So I thank all of them. I thank you for what you're willing to do for us. And at this point, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, someone who's as committed to improving mass transit as I am, and that is our MTA Chairman and CEO, Jana Lieber.
Thank you, Governor Hochul. Everyone at the MTA is really grateful for your leadership on this issue. You know, when I came to the MTA in this role, when you asked me to serve as chair and CEO, we had three main priorities. We were going to get ridership back, we were going to run great service, and perhaps most important, make sure the system not only is safe, but it also feels safe for New Yorkers. Since then, we've doubled ridership, doubled. We're setting on-time performance records on every service, commuter rails, subways, and we've made huge strides with this governor at the helm on subway safety. We have the support we've always wanted from the NYPD and all of the branches of state law enforcement. We have those security cameras. Do not pass over what the governor just announced. Not only do we have 15,000 cameras in the stations, we've had that for a couple of years, but now, thanks to Governor Hochul, we have a camera in every single subway car. Every single subway car, and the caliber of the video is extraordinary. We've also moved the station agents, what we used to call token booth clerks, out of the booths so they can help riders and be eyes and ears for safety issues in the station. We have hundreds of unarmed gate guards who are pushing back on the scourge of fare evasion, keeping those exit gates closed so people just don't walk through like it's a superhighway of fare evasion. And this has also been a Hochul initiative, we have mental health professionals surging the system to get the people who are suffering with psychosis and other mental health conditions out of the public space and into treatment, into real treatment. That is the joint MTA NYPD Scout program that you have funded, and it is making a difference. Listen, the proof is those incredible crime stats that you just mentioned, crime down versus last year. But the number I always look at is versus pre-COVID, and we are down 12% as of the beginning of this week versus pre-COVID. Now, even though the data is on our side, that the subways are, as a factual matter, becoming safer, public spaces in New York in general, and the subway is one of them, don't always feel as safe and orderly as we want them to. And that's why it's so important that we maintain the relationships and the collaboration that you see represented with these forces behind us and that you see in the subway every day of the week. Just want to shout out the new NYPD Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, an old friend, is committed to safety. Chief Galata is here representing her. NYPD, the former NYPD Transit Chief, Michael Kemper, has come over to MTA, and we are hand in glove with the NYPD, MTA PD, and State Police and National Guard. This is a really great joint operation. Listen, I'm never going to stop standing up for riders who tell us month after month what they want, and this is true of every demographic, every neighborhood, every income level. They tell us, you know what they want? They want to see more cops and more uniformed personnel in the system. That is what makes them feel safe, and the actions the governor is taking reinforce that. So we're glad to do whatever we can under the governor's leadership to make the system feel as safe as possible. And with the 3 ridership records we're seeing in the last week alone, Saturday, overall, on Friday, this past Friday, we had another 4 million ridership day. That hasn't happened much, but we've had 6 out of the last Fridays were 4 million riders. Friday is back. That's proof that the vibe that has been created about the subway being safer is making a difference in riders' minds. So let's celebrate that. So as I say, I always say to New Yorkers, the MTA is ready to take you wherever you want to go. Governor, I know you want to walk to Bryant Park and you want to walk to Rockefeller Center and all these places, but there is mass transit, and I hope we can add a fare or two from you and the first gentleman.
You got it last week, and we took the train down. We were on it a lot.
I know that your husband has become a pretty regular rider. We talk about it a lot, but I just want to thank you for what you're doing today and what you've done over the last couple of years to really make the subway system actually safer and also feel safer. Thank you.
Chief of Transit for the NYPD, Joseph Galata, representing the City Hall.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Joseph Galata. I'm the Chief of Transit in the NYPD. When we take a look at subway safety, there are key components to it. And I'd like to thank the governor, the MTA, city leadership, and all the people standing behind me. We didn't get here by mistake. A lot of work went into what we're doing, and if you take a look at where we're at, it's a 6% reduction. That's an average of 6 crimes per day. Think about that. 4 million people ride the subway system, and we average 6 crimes per day. It's a small percentage of the city's crime. With that being said, how do we do that? We did it with the people standing behind me. We did it with the National Guard, the MTA police, TSA, the state police, all working together. The leadership up here being lockstep with each other. That's how we got here. And if I can, I want to thank the governor and the MTA for the cameras. What do the cameras mean to the NYPD? We get pictures of crime that occurs on that train car. We can immediately put it out to our offices. Our offices deal with all type of people on the train system. And what we're seeing now is as a crime occurs, we're getting that photo from inside that train car, and we're getting it to our offices, and we're getting that person identified faster than we ever have. So that investment in the train car has been tremendous for the NYPD. In closing, I'd like to say there's probably no better partnership than the people you see here, and we'll continue to drive down crime in the subway. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, start with Newton Jones Burkett III from Channel 7 over there.
Tim, thank you. To Mr. Lieber and to the governor, you can say a lot of things with statistics, and I see the percentage that crime is down 42% since 2021. But if you look back to pre-pandemic, and I know you like to say that overall crime is down 12% since the pandemic, but murders are up 200%, felony assault is up 55%, and burglary is up 140%. So are you saying that this is progress?
Are you talking about statewide, city, or subway?
No, crime in the transit system. I'm sorry, Governor. Yes, crime in the subway system.
Okay. You want to answer that?
Listen, Newt, you know this well. The numbers that we're talking about in the individual categories of crime are are small or very most small, very, very, very low double digits. So they do move around. And we're not saying, there's nothing you heard from me or the governor, not just today, but ever, that suggests that we think that crime is not a problem. What you did hear is significant indicia, significant indicators of progress, which is overall crime way down, and we're seeing passenger comfort levels as reflected in surging ridership way up. And the presence of all these personnel is making a difference. So we can talk about individual categories, but the point is we're seeing the overall effort is paying dividends.
All right, Morgan McKay from Channel 5.
Hi, Governor Hochul. Just two questions for you here. One, as you guys are increasing safety on the subway, at the same time, the MTA is looking to raise prices for fares. Just wondering, as the goal of congestion pricing is to lower or encourage drivers to instead take the train, do you feel like a fare increase is right at this time? And then a second question for you, any news on the New Jersey lawsuits when it comes to congestion pricing?
Now, I can have Jano address the fare increase, which is just proposed today as part of a financial plan. But there is a long process of public engagement and the voices of the community be heard before that's a final decision. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We have ongoing lawsuits. One is before a judge in New Jersey right now. I will tell you this. I support congestion pricing at the price that I worked hard to get down a 40% decrease from what had been set, which would have gone into effect, but for the fact we put our pause in. I said we'd get back to it. I knew we'd get back to it, and we did. And that lower price point still has not changed the position of New Jersey to fight this, despite, again, a 40% decrease. Now, we've made multiple offers to settle this lawsuit. Very generous offers. Wish I could describe them to you, because you would say they're generous. I'm not at liberty to do that. But if you're one of the 80% of New Jersey residents who get stuck on New Jersey Transit or waiting an hour on a PATH train, or you want a nice new bus station, this is going to all be affected if congestion pricing doesn't go through. This is to improve the quality of service for New York residents, for New Jersey residents, for Connecticut residents, to give them the reliability and the improvements in the system, and hopefully to cut time off, and we'll be talking about how we can make the trains go even faster and more efficiently. So my view is this. To the 80% of New Jersey residents, stand up for yourselves, call your elected leaders, call Trenton, and say, what are you doing? Because we're going to benefit from this tremendously. The small percentage that drive in, they benefit from a reduction of 40%, and we can talk more about that. But that's all I can say right now. But we are in negotiations, and I think people should be listening to New Jersey residents if you represent them as well.
All right, over here, Samantha Liebman.
Sorry,
Sam?
just a second question.
Yeah, but we got so many people here, we got to move on.
So, yes, you just mentioned you were talking to New Jersey. We heard that you offered a lot more money for mitigation, and they balked. Are they negotiating in bad faith, do you think? And also, do you think that possibly because of congestion pricing, you may mitigate the fare increase that's expected next year?
The fare increase here, the 10 cents?
And yeah.
Okay, it's 10 cents. Okay, and that's not in stone yet. I was able to push off a fare increase already. So believe me, when I know how to stop something, I do it. So I'll just put that out there. There's already a record of that. But I also know how to bring it back when I need to.
Yeah,
Okay,
But
okay.
in terms of New Jersey,
In terms of New Jersey, are they negotiating? It doesn't feel like, it does not feel like it's in good faith at this time. No, it does not. And I feel for the residents of New Jersey, who I think, those of you who care about the environment, who want to also ensure that there's not congestion in the city that they work in. They may put their head on a pillow in New Jersey, but they're part of our New York City workforce, and I'm proud to have their talents. And I'm sure it's a huge source of frustration for them that their own government is negotiating against their interests, because it's in their interest to get here quicker, more efficiently, more reliably than those who are in New Jersey Transit are having experience now. We're offering a world-class system that I have to keep investing in because of decades of disinvestment. I'm trying to make up for that. I'm also trying to reduce congestion in our city, one of the most congested on earth. I'm also trying to protect our environment. Those are important objectives that are met through the congestion pricing at the lower price point that I think is more manageable than the $15 was, because I'm all about affordability. It's not just for New Yorkers. New Jersey residents could benefit from this as well, and their voices really need to be heard.
All right, Timmy Fashola back there from Politico.
Hi, Governor. Are any of these National Guard members being redeployed from migrant shelters?
This was already in place. We planned on this. We are closing shelters, but they've not closed yet. So, no, these are individuals that we're redeploying to bring into the Empire Shield system right at this time.
All right, we've got time for a couple more. Evan Simko-Benarski is here from the Daily News. Get your microphone.
Governor, with all due respect to the Guard members and their service, the Guard are not police. They don't have the ability to effect arrests. They don't have that kind of jurisdiction. Empire Shield was stood up in 2001 as a counter-terror move. Why are you increasing the number of Guards members instead of the number of state police or MTA police?
I am very proud to be the governor of a state where I have at my disposal the National Guard to use in places where I think they're most beneficial to protect the people of the state. I made that determination last March. It had the effect we are desirous of, which is to reduce subway crime, but also to instill that sense of safety, that the statistics will never make anyone. I'm not going to say that the numbers I'm repeating to you today are going to make anyone feel better. I don't expect them to. We're all human beings, because you're going to see a cover story on your paper someday soon, maybe tomorrow, that shows one of the 6 crimes committed a day. 6 crimes committed a day. That's going to scare them. And fear is a really powerful emotion. So when someone sees an individual, one of these trained professionals, standing there, I can tell you, as a mom and as someone who talks to a lot of people around here, that they feel better knowing there's a strong, solid presence that's going to protect them and also to be a deterrent. That is a powerful, powerful tool. And if we weren't successful, I'd be coming up with a different strategy. But this one works. And I have almost 8 million more people in our city right now, which is exciting. But I want them to feel safe as well. They come into these subways, they see these individuals, and I've told them all, make sure you smile a lot, right? Wish them happy holidays. Give them a candy cane if you want. I mean, this is about just a presence. But if there's a problem, I guarantee they know how to handle it.
All right, Charles Watson's back there from NBC.
Governor Hochul, just to diverge for a moment, what's the procedure and timeline for you as governor to get Luigi Mangione back to New York if he doesn't waive extradition from Pennsylvania?
If he doesn't waive it, right, we have a process. It's going to happen. I've had multiple conversations with my friend Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, literally within a day or two of him being found. And the process is this, that now that the indictment has been issued by the district attorney, this has to be properly filed in the court. That court number becomes a data point on my warrant for extradition. When that happens, I will send that warrant over to the governor. He has told me he'll sign it immediately, and then the extradition will proceed. He may waive that. There is word out there that he may waive that and come back on his own. But I'm ready to bring him back here and to make sure that justice is served to someone who had the audacity to gun down any New Yorker. I don't care what their title is. But that brazen move on our streets not far from here must result in severe consequences.
All right, last question we got time for. Bernadette Hogan, go ahead, Bernadette.
Governor, how much is this going to cost? And also, how does this get at the involuntary removal situation that you talked with Mayor Adams about just yesterday? How will that play into your state of the state? And then also, second, on another law enforcement matter, a judge denied Donald Trump's bid to drop the hush money case. Would you consider pardoning him?
There is a pardoning process in the state of New York. It is lengthy. It requires a couple of elements. One is remorse.
Presidential immunity? Is presidential
No,
immunity a good case?
I will say no one will be treated any better or any worse by me when I make those life-altering decisions as we're looking at petitions that are coming in throughout the year. So no one gets extra favors, no one gets treated worse.
So you
But
consider it.
I'm just saying, I'm not prejudging, but there's a process that everyone has to go through. Everybody, whether you're the president or anybody else. And you had like 3 parts to your question. Did we let her get 3 parts per question?
Well, she was asking about the funding.
All right, the funding.
Yeah,
All right,
funding. You've got a
all
budget
right.
coming up,
How much
and-
is the cost of the National Guard? We're paying for them anyhow, right? About $100 million.
But also,
$100 million.
Governor,
$100 million.
If they're
And
just a
also-
presence, I mean, again, all due respect, they're a presence on the subway, but you do have a mental health crisis with those that are sleeping on the subways. They're going around. You have high-profile incidents. What are you going to do about it in your state
Well,
budget?
You don't have to say, what am I going to do? You say, what have you already done? Let's talk about that. When I announced the cops, when we added National Guard and more police, we had cameras. We did our cameras. The other part was care. And we talked about bringing very professional teams of individuals, some law enforcement, social workers, mental health professionals. And I've talked to them. They're walking around here wearing these purple jackets. They're wonderful people. And what their job is to foster relationship with those who live here, basically have made this their home, or have serious mental health problems and do not take care of themselves. As a result of that effort, we have over 780 individuals who are longtime homeless living here who are now in supportive housing. And I'm just getting warmed up. I'm going to add more money in my budget to continue that effort. But what you're talking about is a change in the law, which is required by the legislature. I did speak to the mayor about this. We are aligned that something must change, that the laws are not serving the people of this city. And I'm willing to go back to the legislature, talk about this, talk about the fear that people have, that someone in the throes of a severe mental health crisis, someone with severe substance abuse issues, who is not able to take care of themselves. You know, the test of doing harm to themselves or others, that's one test. But if you really can't take care of yourselves, and there's different metrics to judge that by, we'll be talking about how to change the law to get that person into a place where they're getting compassionate care, and this is not the place for that. The other challenge of this is that when people are taken to a hospital, for the last few years, there have not been enough beds. What happened? I become governor. Why aren't there enough beds? What happened? During COVID, many of the beds by hospitals were required to be converted to COVID beds, so they took the psychiatric beds offline. I say to everybody, well, last I checked, pandemic's over, people aren't in the hospital the way they used to be. Why aren't they returned to being psychiatric beds? Last year I asked that question. I was told that the reimbursement levels were such that they made more money when it was a non-psychiatric bed, because think about it, the cost of a psychiatric, but you have a psychiatrist, a psychiatric nurse. It costs more to provide that service. So they weren't putting them online intentionally. So I said, you're required to. Your license says you have to have this many beds. Some of them still didn't do it. I literally fined them. Said, you're required to have these beds. State of New York. I also said I want 1,000 more beds back online. Some we'll build ourselves. Some will require. We have 1,000 beds now. So the point being is that when someone is taken to the hospital, in the past, they were cycled right back out because there was not capacity for them. That was part of the problem. We're not done solving it, but we're getting a lot closer than we had been. And I'm really proud of that, but I have a long way to go. We all have a long way to go. Is there anything you want to add on that?
No, just I'm reminding Bernadette and everybody else about the success of the Scout program, which is actually targeted at people with severe mental illness and doing involuntary commitments. And those involuntary commitments are holding up. People are getting into care, and as the governor said, they now have a bed. Those are specialized clinicians who are capable and willing to pull the trigger on saying that person needs to come indoors. And with the governor's commitment to re-examine the standard, we may even be able to grow the SCOUT program and get more of those people who are borderline into compassionate care. That would be a benefit to New Yorkers.
We got to go unless, Governor, you want to take that.
We need a law. We need a law change.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor.